I like to talk about this because it is something that I've always wanted to be open and honest about. Now, we all know why I stopped being open and honest about this long ago, because it was like when I was open and honest, people would always be really uh hateful for no reason. So, here we go. And I just want to be open about this. So, let's start.
I think I think compatibility is so important.
So, would you tell a young woman to sleep around and explore their sexuality, or would you tell them to keep your body count as low as possible so you can get the best quality husband?
I would say what is important to you. What is important. And some people, that's it. Some people sleep around for validation, and they'd be like, "Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. Please, don't do that." I have had casual sex because I enjoy sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's the long and short of it. I enjoy sex. Female sexual liberation, I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
But I used to be very codependent because it was all dependent upon my self-worth was dependent upon being desirable to a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to a point in late 2020 where I was like, I don't want to do that anymore because I've either been undervalued or underappreciated. And I ended up in relationships where I thought the men were my league, but they didn't respect me. So then I dated men who were under my league, who adored me. But then I was like, you're not enough.
Do you think maybe...
So the first part I want to address, and then I'll address the second part, what she's going to say next. First off, to me, the way I see it with the whole body count thing, I think that people are made differently. People always act like all women are made to be virgins until marriage. We're not. Some people who are promiscuous, people love to talk about these people because there's plenty of them. People love to talk about the promiscuous woman who can't handle her lifestyle, okay? She cannot handle her lifestyle because she is not comfortable being promiscuous. She is promiscuous, and that's what she does. She has what? I don't even know what a promiscuous body count is, because I hear numbers. I just heard numbers in another thing, and I was thinking in my head, how is that a low number from my perspective? But they acted like it was a low number. But I guess is 100 a big body count for you guys? I don't know. But anyway, if that's a big body count to you guys, 100, or maybe 200, maybe, or something like that, people like that will have counts like that, right? So they've just had men over and over again. I think it's with these women, usually they are more emotional than they are sexual, but they live life like they are more sexual than emotional, right? So that means that, sexually speaking, they are basically used for sex, even though they really want to be in relationships and in commitment, and a long-term relationship with a man, right? So they don't know how to go about getting what they want. So then they end up feeling dissatisfied, used, and like they're not worthy, basically. And people love to talk about this woman and say, this is the woman you don't want to become. Honestly, I always feel like you can become her without the body count. What I mean by that is, if you are in a position where you are living a life that you are not, that's not you, then you have become her, okay? What I mean is, if you are more of a person who could be very comfortable in a promiscuous lifestyle, but you have had a small body count, you could end up just like her, unhappy with your count, feeling completely inferior because of it. So it's like, to me, body count for me, a lot of people like to think that body count is an insecurity for women who have large body counts. For me, I've always had a small body count. Most of my life, I've had no body count. Thankfully, finally, I have small body count. And that's always been an issue for me. I think, honestly, when you really think of it, I think if you're not happy with your body count, that's more the problem. It doesn't matter what the number is. It just means if you're not happy with the body count, you're in a position that you weren't really made for. Okay, so if you are a person who is better equipped for more, I guess, sexually free lifestyle, and you end up with a small body count, you feel like you aren't fulfilled in life. You'll see women who will say at 19, I was just watching a video like this, they're saying that they had a body count of around, like, what, 10, I think someone said, or 13, 14. They're only 19, and they said that. And you could be 10 years older than them. Feel like it's so sad you don't even have half their body count in either case. And when I was younger, like, when you're like, when I didn't have a body count, it was really bad because it was like, there'd be people that are like 19, who have body counts like that, and you are like 5, 6, 7 years older than them, and you don't have any. You really feel like you really fucked up your 20s. You feel like you didn't get any enjoyment out of your 20s. You didn't have any fun out of your 20s. You just feel miserable, basically. So, I mean, that's just my perspective on that. It's kind of weird when people say that you're only supposed to be unhappy with your body count when you have a large amount. And from my perspective, it's like, you do understand how many times, how much time did you have fun? You didn't really have any fun. Your 20s, I don't think the early 20s are about marriage. I don't. I think it's about having fun more so. Because you're young, and you're kind of in your young years. You should be enjoying your 20s, but instead you just wasted them away and just stayed completely solitaire, completely in a position you just did not want to be in, And, I've come a long way, honestly. I mean, like, just 2 years ago, I couldn't even really talk about it the way I talk about it now. Like, back then, I had so much shame about it. And, before that, the year before that, was even worse because I was a virgin. And I definitely could not talk about it. So, to me, it's just like, I don't know. When people talk about body count and they're like, keep it low, because the promiscuous women are going to be basically in a position where they're unhappy with their number, and the ones with low body count are going to be unhappy with their body count. I think what you're talking about is specifically women who look for relationships with men on an emotional level. Women who mainly look for that. Women who their sexuality is mainly based in their emotionality and not their sexuality. I am not an emotional person. For me, I am more likely to have more of an interest in men in a sexual sense. Never really actually emotionally been attracted to a man, really. I'm generally just attracted to them sexually. And I figure I could probably be emotionally attracted to them at one point in life. I just never, no one's ever really been that, anything that I would find appealing in that regard. I'm not personally attracted to masculinity, so that, like, those type of characteristics won't really attract me either. So it's not like, certain emotional bondings between men and women don't really appeal to me in that regard. Well, physical ones can. And that's another thing. Like I said, people, when we talk about these things as far as sexuality, they forget that women don't have one sexuality. I mean, there are women who aren't even attracted to men. And women who are attracted to men, we're attracted to men for different reasons. You can't say we're all attracted for the same reason. So, I mean, like, you can't even make that a one-size-fits-all situation. And if you can't make that a one-size-fits-all situation, this is why promiscuity affects women very differently depending on the woman, basically. And lack of it, or lack of sexual experience, affects women very differently depending on the woman. So that's why I just feel